Welcome back to the Focus. Today we have Jessica Gruber on the show from Buzzworks. She handles websites. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mario. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. A little hot out there, but
It is getting hot.
luckily we are mostly indoors, so that's good
Yes.
for what we do. Um, so we connected through SCN, Success Champions Network, and it's been a very fruitful networking group for me, and I know for you as well. And I always love partnering with and working with website designers, and so just really been intrigued and impressed with your LinkedIn presence, your videos and tips. I'm like, oh man, I need to be doing this. So I'm like, I've got to get her on the show. So I really appreciate you taking the time out and coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a lot of people say that websites aren't the thing anymore. But really it's just an omni-channel experience. How can you hit them in multiple ways? And that includes having a website there in presence that reflects your brand.
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head. Reflects your brand. One of the things that stood out to me on your LinkedIn profile and the your website is that you guys do super sticky sweet websites. What does that mean? What is a super sticky sweet website?
Okay, so the whole concept became Buzzworks was I came up with that name because I actually used to be a beekeeper when I was younger. That was kind of my first entrepreneurial. Me and my sister had about 5 or 6 hives. We would extract the honey and take it to a local store and sell the honey. That's kind of where we learned profit and loss and all these different things in a business. If we didn't have honey, we'd go up to Paris, Texas, buy some of their honey, call it local honey, bring it back down, have honey for the local store to keep them supplied. And so we just had our own little process. And from there, that's where Buzzworks was formed. Super sticky sweet websites didn't come in till about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was like, "That's really catchy." And now I go out to, networking events or any they're like, "You're the super sticky sweet." Yes, that's me. So
Yes.
people remember the super sticky sweet more than Buzzworks, which it just kinda stuck. But there is a meaning behind it. Um, you have 3 portions of a website. You have 3 portions of any marketing. You have the super what is that super thing that is attracting people to your website?
Yes.
And then you have the sticky part. How are you keeping them engaged in your website or in any of your marketing? And finally, how are you giving them that sweet deal to convert them into a conversation or a deal or whatever it is? So that is the meaning behind super sticky sweet websites.
I love that so much because gone are the days of if you build it, they will come.
Mhm.
You cannot just throw a website out there and then say, "Cool, where's the phone ringing? Where are the conversions?" They have to have that sticky reason to even stay on your website.
Mhm.
Number one, and then what really attracted me to your brand and what set you apart is that you're involved with some of the marketing aspects as well. So I really enjoy that part of it. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, we will have people that come to us and say, "Hey, we want a simple landing page." And I'll look at their market and I'll say, "Okay, how are you going to drive traffic to that page?" And they're just completely taken aback that a web design agency isn't promising them leads and generations off of a single page. Now, there are some markets, like we have an equestrian center out in Wiley, Texas, and their competition is very low. Put 3 pages up, they're golden. They have more leads than they can think of. So it all depends on the market you're in and
Yes.
the competition you're going up against.
So it sounds like you take a really consultative approach to your clients instead of just, oh yeah, let me just build you a website. You're really digging into why they need it, I guess.
Yeah, and I have clients or I won't say clients, but prospects coming to me now and they're like, "Oh, we can just use AI." Okay, give that a try and let me know
Hmm.
how it actually works. Because we had one person prospect come to us and he was like, "I have all this information." He sent me like 20 different files. And it's like, okay, you're going to fit in the process that we know is successful, that we've used AI to enhance our process, um, or we're not going to take you on as a client. And he did go away, but
Yeah, it's good.
win some, lose some.
Sometimes you have to filter out in our world AI. People think they can just do a video with AI as well,
Hmm.
which technically you can. Not going to knock that, but you can definitely tell the difference if you're trying to build brand loyalty and trust. If did AI build this, or did Jessica and her team build this? And that kind of leads me into my next question as well. So, and I'm sure I'm going to be guilty of most of these, but what are some of the most common mistakes that you see when people come to you for either a rebranded website, or they've done something else before, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can definitely help this person? What are some of those mistakes that people are making with their website?
I think the biggest mistake sometimes I see is that they wait so long to realign their website with their business goals. And I know everyone that comes in, they're like, what are your business goals? But what happens is when you don't have that constant alignment between your business and your website, you have your sales team out there in the market selling something that may not be the direct reflection on your website. So
Right.
back to, we're looking for that omni-channel experience. If you send a sales team out into the field and they say something, that should be reflected on the website so you have a consistent prospect journey into a conversation to close the deal.
Yeah, that's major. I can't count the number of times to where we're going into a video project, and in pre-production, we're talking about, okay, here's what's on your website. Does this need to be in the video? And they're like, oh no, we don't even do that anymore. Or no, like you said, it doesn't align with where they are, but for whatever reason, they just haven't paid attention to it, and they're just losing, money. Sales is mad at marketing, marketing is mad at sales. So that's a great point there. Um, are you finding specific things that people aren't putting on the website that should be there, and then vice versa? Are people putting too much information on their site, and it kind of needs to be scaled back a little bit?
It's a mix of both.
Yeah,
But the biggest thing is a strategic call to action. Um, when you have these long pages of content, we say put a mini call to action in the middle. You need to ask the person, hey, let's take action on this, or they're just going to continue looking through your website.
yeah,
So you need that interrupter. The other thing is probably your first 10 words on the website. That's another big thing because they need to know exactly what you do and who you serve within 10 minutes. They do not have the attention span to figure out by reading all the headlines in your website. They need to know instantly or they're going to bounce. I know there's some brands like Apple, they don't need to do that.
right.
But when you're not a, I'm not going to say well known brand, but more people are discovering your brand, you need to be very absolute in the words that you use in the 10 words to ensure they know exactly what you do and get them to stick around and scroll.
Absolutely. I love that simplicity, clarity, and oftentimes we'll have the curse of knowledge too, because we're so smart in our industries that we want to put all this, all these words out there that people don't even understand what they are. That's why we use drone footage on our website as opposed to aerial footage. Like, what's aerial? What does that mean? And so, like you said, you have to be super clear. Are you familiar with Donald Miller with Story Brand?
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
real big on him, and he talks about the caveman test. Does your website pass the caveman test? Like, can you just run it out like Mario does video? You know what I mean? So it's like you're really speaking to that. So if you're out there, make sure that your verbiage is crystal clear. Um, your LinkedIn is awesome, by the way. I get a
Thank
lot of
you.
tips from you, your stories, your videos. And I know that she'll probably screen some of these. Hopefully, you're good with this. But Jessica Gruber on LinkedIn, look her up. She's awesome. Um, One video that stood out to me in particular was about AEO, and what do businesses need to understand about this? What is it? Assuming it has something to do with SEO from the video that I watched, but I want you to educate our audience here, mostly businesses out there, that they need to be keeping up with AEO. What is it, and how do they do this?
Okay, so AEO is kind of the next level or the um, transformation of SEO with AI coming. If you think about your website or you do a Google search, what is the first thing that pops up now? It's the little excerpt of AI that kind of gives you an answer to your question. And that's what AEO is now we're trying to rank to be that answer in in
It's a
AI.
tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, too many acronyms.
Right.
But now we're trying to rank your websites to be that leader in AI and get your answer out there. AI needs that content to feed it to have its knowledge. If you strip the internet away, AI would not exist. So AI has to get that information. So a lot of people say, "Oh, content strategy is dead." Now it's more important, but it's more shifting to answer the questions people have about your products and services so they know when they go search for you, when they ask that question, you're being pulled into that field of expertise.
I love that, and I use that. We
Mhm.
were just talking about this online before you came in about using AI search and different tools to answer those questions. So if you can be ahead of those, then and people are on your page, they're actively looking for your services and the answers. So that's so important. So if you're out there, understand that content is not going away. You just have to basically level up your content to get ahead of these searches.
Level up, and then there is specific things on the backside of the website. Like you had metadata, which it was the information that shows up in your Google listing. Um, you have schema markup, and now that's becoming more important because that is kind of the code
Yeah.
that AI looks at to say, okay, this is what this page is about, and we can pull that answer from it.
And these are things that you and your team are doing on the front end as you're building the website as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the front end, which is the marketing piece, but
Right.
then you also have the technical back end, making sure you have alt tags on your images, making sure your metadata is in place, making sure your schema. So what you see on the surface of a website is just the start of what actually goes on behind it.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important to have someone like yourself and not do DIY,
Mhm.
because you can only get so far with, companies like Moz and different, SEM Rush. And those are all great platforms, but you need someone that's an expert to be like, hey, this is actually what you need to do to hit your business goals. Something that you also posted about, I'm not sure if it was a post or video, was about a good lead magnet and utilizing your Google Analytics to say, "Hey, what are people actually interested in on your site?" And then use that as the lead magnet. Can you kind of talk about what that is and how they can go about doing that?
Yeah. So if you're already putting that content out there, and say you have a number one ranking piece that people are hitting over and over and again. That means that they're interested in that content. So why not take that content, repurpose it, and put it into a lead magnet
Yes.
that is behind an email address? Now you're uh, creating a giveaway in exchange for their email address, and now you're not just having them in your on your website, you're in their inbox now as well.
Yes.
And once you're in their inbox, now we can start doing other things where we're reaching out on LinkedIn, connecting them that way, figuring out what business they're with and making calls to them. So there is a website is definitely a starting place to create that lead and nurture them into a deeper relationship.
No, I love that, and I love the approach that you take as far as, like, not just having a quote unquote "pretty" website, right? It needs to function, as an actual lead generator. So I
Mhm.
love the fact that you guys are also doing the marketing piece as well and advising that. In fact, I took your advice, and a lot of people are interested in, of course, how much is a professional video. So I wrote a post about that last year, and then we used that as a pop up
Oh, nice.
lead generator. And then I'm kind of playing with it. This month we took that away and we're running that as an ad so that people will click on that on Facebook and then it takes it to the actual blog post. And we've gotten
Nice.
some good traction there. So thank you for that nugget. If you don't have Google Analytics set up, I suggest you do that today, sooner than later. Um, so I have this understanding. Okay, so you do the websites, the marketing piece. Is there anything else that you need people to know about your specific services that you do?
um, I would say the one thing a lot of people come in the door thinking a website is something you can put over and up overnight.
Mhm.
When in reality, if you get a professional website built, you have about 4 or 5 team members working on the actual website. You have about 4 or 5 approval stages in the website because you're approving the content. It's pretty much a brand overhaul when you get into a website because you're making sure that your message is aligned, you're making sure that your design is aligned, you're making sure that the execution and the launch and that your marketing and lead generation is aligned. So when we go in, we're not just saying, "Hey, here's a nice website, have a good day."
Right.
We're actually looking and discovering with you where are the gaps and where do we need to close them to get that conversation started.
Outstanding. What are some of the warning signs of like, okay, it may be time to look at a rebrand or a new website? What are people saying when they come to you?
Um, Biggest thing is we've had our websites 5, 10 years and we've outgrown it. We're
Mhm.
ready for something bigger. I've had companies that have been in business for 20 years and they finally look at their website and they go, hmm, our competitor's doing better than us. Maybe we need to up our game.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest reason people come to us to build a website is they realize that they are dropping the ball and their competitors are doing better than them.
Yes. That makes sense, and that's exactly why I rebranded mine last year. On the before we hopped on here, we were talking a little bit about making sure that your podcast is on your website.
Okay. Mhm.
Podcasts are all the rage now, which I agree with. We're doing one, obviously. Shout out Austin. Um, so, should that be something that I should be including somewhere on my website, whether it's Spotify, Apple, um, Apple Podcasts? What does that look like as far as like, should I be sending people to Spotify? Should I be sending them to my website and having a link there? Combination of all?
Combination of all. Biggest thing is SEO in your show notes, making sure that it's relevant to your audience.
Mhm.
There are little things that people miss, like the show cover. If it has an image of your guest, why aren't you titling it your guest? Because now when people search Jessica Gruber, guess what image is going to pop up? Your show cover,
Ah,
especially if it's on YouTube. So, all of those links backlinking to your website should be your home base for your podcast, and the other um, outlets are just landing pages hoping to bring traffic into you to bring it back to the website to bring them into that conversation. And
gotcha.
having your podcast on your website kind of officializes that, hey, yes, this is my website. This is what I do. And you landed at the right place.
Okay, I've got some work to do, but that really is helpful and it makes sense. And definitely a missed opportunity, on my part. And I'm sure a lot of people listening out there, because a lot of people have either been on podcasts or host their own podcast. Um, so I will get on that immediately. Add to my to do list. And like I said at the top, most of our audience, they either are in marketing for businesses or the business owner companies out there. So if they're listening to this and they're like, "Oh my goodness, we have work to do. We're that company that needs to step up our game." What is the next step for them to reach out to you, and what does that process look like?
So, if they need help, and even if they just need an extra set of eyes on your website, reach out to me. You can find my calendar on my website, which is going to be Buzzworks, buzzwks.com. Schedule an appointment. It's no pressure at all. I am happy to look at your website, tell you where it's at, and where it can go. Give you some ideas, and then if it makes sense, we can move forward.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you having you on the show. Every interaction I've had with you for this has been awesome. So really appreciate the introductions, the referrals, and your LinkedIn tips and you being on the show today. Really
Uh,
appreciate it.
yeah, thank you, Mario, and thank you for having me. If you guys enjoyed the show, Mario's doing this all the time, interviewing these badass marketers, bringing them into his world so you share the knowledge. So make sure you like and subscribe to his podcast.
Hey, appreciate that plug. Until next time. And also, if you're looking to host a podcast, shout out to Austin and Purposeful Productions for producing and hosting the podcast. My name is Mario Wilson. You've been watching The Focus with 12 Media Group, where we put your brand in focus.